What made you do that? What made you?
A girlfriend of mine that I've known since high school. We went to Israel about 3 or 4 years ago, and she sent me a Facebook and said, "Do you want to go to England?" And I went, "Are you kidding me? It's something I've always wanted to do." I'm getting goosebumps right now, chicken skin. It was so thrilling, and it was a budget trip because I'm on a budget.
Yeah.
And she was teaching at a conference in London, so I showed up the last couple of days at her conference and just tootled around London and got on one of those hop-on, hop-off double-decker buses.
Great way to start your trip.
Great.
Yeah.
And even though your listeners can't see, I brought brochures with me to remind me of all the places that I went. When our tour guide got us right up on, the Mall, the road leading up to Buckingham Palace. She got us right up to where I could almost touch the people walking by, the soldiers, or whatever they call them, the beefeater. I don't think the beefeaters were there, but I just started crying. I was so thrilled.
Oh my God! Had you been there before?
Never.
Wow.
And I didn't care and didn't mind if there were thousands of people, because she got us right up in front. And I got to see Buckingham Palace. And then the other places, I spent 3 different times over in Covent Gardens. It isn't a garden. It's just an area where they close off to vehicle traffic, and it's shops and swap meet kind of stalls and restaurants. There's no garden, but there's tons of flowers hanging, beautiful flowers hanging in baskets in all the pubs and the restaurants and the shops. And I spent 3 days there.
Now, first of all, let's start from the beginning. I love actually following people's trips. So how did you fly over? What airlines did you take over?
United, or was it Delta? Oh, dear. I might have taken one over and one on the way back. I used Globus, Globus, as the travel company, the tour company, and I would use them again. They were very good, except I offer a caveat, and I think they, along with either many or most or all tour companies, called this one a 9-day tour, but they counted the day you get there and the day you leave.
Yes.
So it was really a 7-day tour.
Exactly. And this is the same thing people have to realize happens also on cruises. You say 7 days on a cruise, you think you really are getting 7 days, but there's the day you get there, which doesn't really do much of anything, and the day you get back, which
lifeguard drill.
Exactly. So you got to realize that. So Globus, you found as a good deal. Did it offer special offers to get over there? That was.
I didn't book through them I used a travel agent, which I'm glad I did, because she handled a lot of things for us. I didn't book through Globus because I didn't arrive the day of the tour. I arrived 3 days early.
Oh, okay. That's good, though, because then you have the freedom to do what you want to do.
And
I love traveling on my own and having that freedom to wander around.
It was wonderful.
Yeah.
It was wonderful. Another absolutely chicken skin, again, bucket list item was seeing Stonehenge in Scotland.
I've always wanted to go there, and I've never gone.
Thrilled. We spent 2 hours there walking all, and the pictures I took, I used, I expanded it so it looked like we were right up there, and people said, "How'd you get so close?" Because they've closed it off because tourists were vandalizing it.
Well, that is really unfortunate, and I wish I'd been one of those people who had gone earlier, but I've heard that sometimes you can get around that with special permits if you're writing a book or you're doing special things and you ask to do that. I actually spoke to someone just last week who was able to spend the night there.
Oh, my gosh.
For a project. Gosh. Yeah, he actually got to spend the night up there. Can you imagine?
The energy around the stones are just magical.
Well, let's talk about something, because I like to talk about the good, the bad, and the ugly of travel, because we all learn. And I have to say, I loved looking at your pictures. Thank you for sharing them on
you're
Facebook.
Welcome.
You might remember Suzi, because Suzi, well, she's kind of like the Divine Miss M of Maui. You remind me so much. You're not a Bette Midler. But, you've been doing a lot of socializing and knowing people for a long time. So you have a lot of wonderful friends who follow you and, know what's going on in your life. So you send pictures, and I was shocked because you showed a picture of your hotel room. And, I've been to Europe many, many times. I've actually lived in London for a while. And it's very expensive in London. But you got a room with a It's tiny. It was small.
That was the one I booked on my own before the tour.
Okay, because it was small.
The ones not as small as the one my friend stayed in, where she was. It was even smaller, and they had no elevator, and she was on the 3rd floor.
Oh my gosh.
No, the ones that were provided by Globus, I wouldn't know if they're 5-star, but they were sure 4-star.
They were nice.
Oh,
huh?
the Park Plaza, Waterloo, the Park Plaza, Westminster Bridge, one that was called Mercure. They were all wonderful. They told us they couldn't guarantee us that they would give us 2 beds, even though we requested it, but they did, because they charge extra for single supplement. But we were able to each, have our own bed. It was great. But I wouldn't say there was really anything negative about the trip. I loved every minute of it. The tour guide was extremely knowledgeable, and he was so on it for time. If you were late, you were scolded. Luckily, I wasn't late.
How many people were in
Only 20.
Oh, that's good. Yeah,
The bus
a lot of
held-
them do 30. A lot of them do 30.
Yeah, well, the bus held 50.
Wow.
And our bus driver was so good at getting that huge being. It was a brand new, beautiful bus. A couple of times we actually applauded him for getting the bus around certain places in tight squeezes. It was really fun. The tour guide was obviously a Brit, and he loved his country and was able to just tell us all kinds of historical things. And he says, of course, if I don't know, I'd lie. He was kidding, I'm sure.
Well, this is your first time, right? Your first time to London?
Yes.
I have been there many times, and there is this charm of London, and it is so amazing. I literally, when I go there, I feel like an outlander. I feel like I've been there in another lifetime. I really do. When I go there, it just kind of like brings back these strange ghosts and memories
Oh,
and things.
fabulous.
Oh no, because I really wanted to live there for a while, but it is very expensive.
I was surprised that it wasn't as expensive. The tour was a good deal. As I say, I was on a budget. The dollar against the British pound sterling wasn't as strong, and yet I found most things to be very reasonably priced.
You like what? What did you
The
find?
food, the shops. Of course, I didn't go into the fancy shops. I'd
Yeah.
go into other shops, and I was able to find things for £5, £10, which is £5 was about $6 and some cents, and the meals weren't that expensive. Some of them were, and they took us to nice places, the ones that were included in the trip. Oh, we went to a Highland show with bagpipes and singers and dancers, and they served haggis. Have you ever had
Oh,
haggis?
I went to Fleetwood's on Front Street, and I love it's Burns. They have a special celebration.
Bobby Burns night.
Yes, and they, I'm a vegetarian, Susie. So the idea of haggis is like, I went there and it's like, there's no way I'm going to even look at the haggis. And it smells awful. And I respect the tradition. I understand the tradition. But, oh, my God, it's the innards. You're eating these,
Oh, don't ever read what's in it. You won't
is
touch it.
I know.
But I had to try it. I was there. I'm not a vegetarian.
Did you try it?
I tried it.
What
and
it
it
taste
wasn't
like?
as horrible as I thought it would.
wasn't?
It wasn't. It was kind of bland.
Uh-huh. Okay. Oh,
I mean,
that's
it
good.
was awful.
Did they have the bagpipers and everything?
Yes.
They read the poetry and
Yes,
everything?
it was
Yeah.
wonderful.
Yeah, it's quite an experience.
It was wonderful.
It's done in the full regalia, in the celebration, and a lot of drinking's involved.
I hardly ever drink anything at all, and haven't for 25, 30 years. But I actually had 4 different times I had a beer there,
Uh-huh.
and one time we went to a whiskey tasting, and I actually tasted whiskey, and didn't bother me. But I don't
Yeah.
usually drink. But
But
and
you're having fun, and it's
I
a
had
good
a
deal.
ball.
Yeah.
One of my favorite things was going on the Royal Yacht Britannia, and
Is that actually the Queen's?
yes, she decommissioned it in it's either 97 or 99, so it's open to the public as a museum. And in fact, the only real bummer of the whole trip, my phone was running out of battery. I brought my battery pack with me to recharge it, but forgot the cord in the room.
I was just talking about how important battery packs are.
Oh, my
I
God.
found one battery pack where you literally just do it by putting it right up,
I
just
saw
like the way
that.
you do your watch. if you have an Apple Watch, it just does, you just lay it on there, which is kind of nice, because I recently did a trip when I went to the Nahoku Hanohana Awards, and it's just a short trip, right? It's just flying over, and I forgot all my cords. So, and I've got, the 10X is very good. It has I had a 6 before, an Apple 6, and the battery gotten awful. But, after a day, your battery runs out, so.
How about 2 hours?
So, yeah, so I had to, over there, I got more. And, then by the time you get the right cords and everything, it can be $100. Did you did you find a store to get all the cords right over there?
Yeah, I bought some online that were they were like $12, $13. They weren't
that's
that
good deal.
Included a cord. But I did not get to take a picture of the stateroom that the Queen slept in.
Oh, my.
Or the one Prince Philip slept in.
And is it the large? Is it really
small,
large?
tiny?
It's small, okay.
She said she didn't want anything fancy, and that's exactly what she had.
Oh, really?
I was shocked at how small.
I am, too, yeah.
The most incredible part of that ship or yacht or whatever was the engine room. It was huge and sparkling white clean.
I'm sure.
And people were saying, well, what does it really look like usually? And they says, no, that's what it looked like.
Now, didn't you find that the gardens in London, actually the gardens all over England, aren't they amazing?
Oh, the roses.
They love their rose gardens, don't they?
Sir Walter Scott's estate.
Oh, where was that?
Oh, my God, in Scotland. And I never realized how important he was to Scottish history.
Oh, yeah.
And his place was absolutely...
Is it in the Highlands, or do you remember where it was?
Don't know. I don't remember.
Okay. And you took...
I do have a brochure I could show you.
Did you go by bus up there?
Yes, that was part of the tour.
Uh-huh.
Like the Britannia yacht was an option.
Uh-huh.
I did miss going to Tower of London because my friend wanted to go see a play. Didn't realize I'd missed the Tower of London, which was an optional tour anyway. But
yeah, well, I've been to the Tower of London, and I have to say, I'm an empath, and I really get chills, literally chills. When I walk there, the vibes and the energy is just scary. And then, of course, you see these ravens that are massive, and the ravens are very, very large. The ravens are all over.
Live?
Yeah, they all hang around. These huge ravens are about a foot long, at least a foot long. And they just, and they're spirits, right? And they're all over, and they are all over the grounds. And they actually are so important because there was a famous poet that wrote, when the ravens leave, then it was a threat that if they ever left, everything would fall and collapse in London. So they actually have a raven keeper who makes sure that there's always some ravens present on the grounds. Oh, yeah, it's a wonderful tradition. But, I mean, you go and it's scary.
Maybe I'm glad I didn't go.
No, it's scary to me because when you think of the awful things and the history that's happened there, I know it's very historical. And I don't mind walking outside, but I went inside one time and I was just like, I can't be in here. It's just, I can't. It's just too much. It was.
What about the crown jewels?
I never saw the crown jewels. Have you ever seen them?
No, that was included in that tour,
no,
and I didn't get to go.
I never saw.
I saw the Scotland crown jewels in the Edinburgh Castle.
I did. I went to Edinburgh and I loved it.
Edinburgh.
It was very cold when I went there. I went off season, but I loved Edinburgh. But it was extremely cold, and now they have. That was years and years and years. I had to be 40 years ago. I went to Edinburgh. So and I would love to go again because I've heard it's really developed quite a bit now.
Amazing.
And that the city is really amazing. And I think part of that is because they've been doing these street festivals.
And Harry Potter.
Well, I hadn't even thought about that. Is that really one part of it? It's because of Harry Potter?
Lots of Harry Potter shops. And,
okay.
And of course that's in London too, but most of the stuff where J.K. Rowling wrote the books was in Scotland, not England.
Wow, amazing. I did not even know that.
I think I have that fact right. Don't quote
I
me.
watched a couple, but I haven't read the books. Did you read the books?
All of them.
Did you read all of them?
A couple of times each.
Is it
and
worth
I've seen
reading?
all of them. I'm a fan. I loved it.
Yeah.
I loved it.
Yeah.
I didn't like some of the new movies, but I like the old ones.
So how much was the Globus tour that you booked?
Oh, dear. I'm trying to remember. It wasn't much over 1,000, and that included the room. It included all the breakfasts.
That's an amazing deal.
Yeah. I think it was more than 1,000, but it wasn't 2,000. I know that.
Wow,
and
that's very, very
it
reasonable.
included several dinners and a lot of the tours.
Wow.
Things it did not include the Tower of London, Windsor Castle, which I missed. did not include the yacht. Didn't include the haggis dinner show.
Well, those are expensive. The haggis dinner shows. I'm sure that was pricey.
It was about, for 3 different events. The haggis show, I call it the haggis show. It was the spirit of, because I had it was about 150 pounds, which is like $175, $180.
That's not bad at all.
For the Scottish evening, the Liverpool tour, and the Royal Yacht.
Oh, that's very good.
Yeah, the Liverpool tour to see the Beatles and all that was only 20 pounds.
I did never go down to Liverpool.
That's like $30, less than $30. The Scottish evening was 74 pounds. That was... Oh, and it says, don't worry, you don't need to eat the haggis to enjoy the show.
Thank you.
And then the Royal Yacht was 58 pounds. That was about $70.
Well, you went down to Liverpool by boat, or how'd you get there?
No, on bus to Liverpool, and then we...
Was that a bit of a drive to get down there?
Well, we spent the whole time on a bus going all through the country. And the 2 times I was on a boat was on the River Thames. Once part of the hop on, hop off, they include that. And then a part of an evening that was offered by Globus.
I have never, even when I was living there, I lived there, I think 3 months, I never was on the River Thames.
Yeah,
I never did that.
Been on it twice, and it was interesting. And they have the headphones that are timed so that what you're floating, going by, tells you what the Houses of Parliament and all the good fun stuff.
Big Ben's being reconstructed.
You
right?
can't see Big Ben right now. At one side of the 4, you can see the face, but the others are all full of scaffolding. But there it was.
Could you hear it? Are they letting the bell ring? I heard there was a whole debate whether they should continue to ring the bell or not.
Didn't hear it. Mm-hmm. So I don't know if it was I went out there at the right time or they turned it off.
Well, the story that I heard is that because for the workers on Big Ben, that the bell is so loud that if they had the workers up there working, that they could actually hurt their hearing.
Go deaf.
When they're up there, so they were going to... But it's such a iconic thing to hear Big Ben, that it's like there was a huge tourism deal. Like, how can you not have Big Ben ringing,
Well, talk about safety for the workers. Yeah. Hello.
Well, and they were even concerned about that. I mean, you can imagine London bridges falling down. What happens if Big Ben falls down? I mean, it would it'd be terrible. Did you see people, weren't you there right around the time Trump was going there?
I was there after.
Oh, you were there after. Okay.
I think it was. I don't even know. He's not well liked there.
No, I know. I was wondering about that because I know someone. Oh, my friend Alice was there, right when he was there, and she actually was on the parade, the protest, and she said it was very interesting being right there in the protest with everyone and seeing all those things that we saw.
Oh yeah, they do not. I love the story I saw this morning on Facebook where. When he went to Japan, that the wife of the emperor, pretended she did not speak English so she wouldn't have to talk to him.
Is that the truth? And she speaks English, right?
And she speaks English beautifully.
Amazing.
Another thing that I found was interesting, the play that we went to see was called Everybody's Talking About Jamie. I had never heard of it. It's about a young high school 16-year-old gay boy who wants to be a drag queen. And it was really a great play if it ever comes.
Where was that playing? In what theater?
At the West End. I forgot which theater.
I love the West End.
Well, we saw Joseph and the Amazing Technicolor
Dreamcoat
at the London Palladium, and that was over-the-top spectacular. But I noticed that the gay people are more accepted. There's shops, there's shows, there's exhibitions, there's an acceptance, and that warmed my heart.
Oh, there's definitely an acceptance, especially in theater. Come on. I mean, theater.
Well, yeah.
Come on.
I mean, to see, because I have several of my gay friends say, well, that's why we like England.
Yeah, no.
Because they're very accepted, and that was wonderful.
I was in the West End, and I got to see Driving Miss Daisy. Was it with Vanessa Redgrave?
Oh, my gosh.
And that wonderful black guy that's got that deep voice that's so fantastic, and I can't remember his name. He's got that voice you hear that I think he was the voice that was on...
Not James Earl Jones.
Yes, it was James Earl Jones.
Oh, wow.
And I was like on the second. It was a tiny theater. I mean, maybe 100 people. And I was in the second row. And there they are. Right? I mean, as close to me as you. And I'm going, you don't get to do that on Maui. I love theater on Maui. Maui people, I love you. but you don't get to see stars like that in a performance like that. And of course, that one's just them, eating up the stage, and
It was delicious.
Oh, it was delicious, absolutely. And the thing, I remember going to the restaurant right next to the theater, and it was one of those historic theaters. That's why it's so old, the historic theaters. The old theaters, when we say historic, 200 years old or whatever, right? I mean, they're old, So they're small, But there's restaurants all up and down, and the whole street's like happening like a parade, right? Did you see just people wandering
Everywhere.
the streets? And you can go into any of these restaurants and get an amazing meal. And you never know who's sitting next to you, but they're all talking theater. And they've all just are about to go see a great show, or they just seen a great show. So it's this theater culture that is, sometimes I wish Market Street could be like. Can you imagine if Market Street was like that? I know Mappa wants to build some of Wailuku into this kind of thing. Can you imagine how wonderful?
It'll happen someday.
Wander from theater to theater.
But I also want to mention the benefit of having a travel agent. When my friend and I decided to go see Joseph in the amazing Technicolor Dreamcoat, I went online to the London Palladium. They had exactly like one seat left in the whole auditorium, and it was in the second or third balcony, and I said, no, thank you.
Yeah.
I called my travel agent. I says, can you do something better? She wrote back the next day and says, you have 7th row center.
That is amazing. Okay, well, let's give a shout out to your travel agent.
She's in California, Sandy at Let's Go Travel. I don't have her information with me, but people can find me on Facebook under Suzi, Elaine Benioff Osborn.
Well, and please, yes, everyone, do heed those words. There's something about having a travel agent. There's so many issues that come up with travel these days.
Yes.
And if you're stuck somewhere, it's so nice to have someone who can call and help you out.
And it didn't cost us any extra.
Did you get travel insurance?
Yes.
Yeah. Always a good idea to get travel insurance.
Just in case.
I talked to a friend I know. Actually, I knew her from high school, and she was traveling, and I couldn't believe she just did some major damage to her heel, and it's like a broken, but also has to have surgery and this whole thing. Thank God she had travel insurance, because that's the last thing you want is have some damage to where you can't even function, and that's where the travel insurance comes in really handy and everything. You get back and you go, why did my travel insurance? I didn't need travel insurance, but it's always a good idea.
I believe in
and
insurance.
And it's not that much,
I don't remember. It's $35 or something.
Oh, you got a really good deal.
Maybe I'm thinking of the wrong thing.
Well,
maybe
no,
it was $50. I don't remember prices.
Yeah, because when I do my cruises, it's usually at $250 or something.
Really?
One time I paid $500, yeah.
Oh, my gosh.
Yeah, but that includes when you can fly. It costs more if you want to fly back to the U.S. and stuff. When you get medevac and stuff like that. Because if I'm going to get travel insurance, I get the whole 9 yards.
I just get the minimum.
I know. Well, see, then you didn't, and then you have nothing to lose, right? So you'd recommend Globus travel?
Yes. I haven't used any others, so I can't compare.
But the price is amazing, Suzi.
I think I have, I don't remember how much it was.
Well, it's hard to find. It's very hard to find good hotels at reasonable rates.
Oh my
in London.
gosh, these hotels were luxurious.
Yeah.
Now, a couple of them did not have air conditioning.
Yeah, and it was hot, wasn't it?
They gave us a fan.
Uh-huh.
The one that I stayed at before and booked on my own didn't have air conditioning, but it had. I had to ask for a fan, and I asked for a little refrigerator they gave me so I could keep my water cold.
And they did that.
They did it.
Some places won't.
They did it. But where my friend was staying, not only was there no elevator and she had to walk up 3 flights every time she went back to her room, they had no air conditioning and no fans, and her room was tinier than mine.
Oh my gosh. How hot was it in London?
How hot was it? I don't know.
Was it like 90?
Probably.
Here and there?
Probably. But we were in the air-conditioned bus a lot of the time. Mm-hmm. I think we had the most stunning weather. I don't remember being overly hot. Mm-hmm.
In Edinburgh, summer's the perfect time to be there.
And we hit rain maybe once, and I had a raincoat, so it was no problem.
So it's interesting. You actually even took the bus down to Liverpool, but isn't that a kind of a long drive? Was that a long bus
ride? We
ride?
stopped on the way. I don't remember which. I mean, as I say, these are not even in order, but we stopped at the Liverpool Cathedral. We stopped, I think I mentioned Sir Walter Scott's Abbotsford. We went to the Roman baths.
Where was that?
In
Bath?
In Bath.
I love, okay, folks, if you're going to London, you got to go to Bath. And you can take a train down there. And it's really pretty quick by train. That's what I did. We went to London and then went down to Wales and to Bath. And Bath is gorgeous. Bath is fabulous.
Beautiful. We went through the Roman baths. We even took the subway. I still have my souvenir oyster card.
Oh, you kept your card. How sweet.
And did I talk about Gretna Green yet?
No.
Gretna Green, where in the old times, if a girl's parents didn't want her to marry the boy, they would escape to Scotland and go to Gretna Green, where there are no such laws, and they were able to get married, and Gretna Green became the wedding capital of the area.
I've never heard that story.
And the whole town is geared towards weddings and couples and shops, and
I had no idea.
So
well,
sweet.
That in another lifetime, that's what you did, weddings. I remember.
Yeah.
How many years ago was that one?
I'm still licensed and ordained as a minister.
Yeah,
I could still do weddings. I just
well,
don't
I
have
am
a
too,
business.
but I don't. I
remember I used to hire you as my
I know,
videographer all the time.
And then I did as a minister did it. But
yeah,
you know what? It's a lot of work. And God bless those people out there.
Much work.
God bless those wonderful
well,
people.
I'll still do weddings if any.
Colleen Wheeler.
Colleen's one of my best friends,
Yes.
and she's still doing it.
And Bruce doing wonderful work. Absolutely, yeah. But I did not know about Gretna Green. Now, is that near Edinburgh? Do you remember where that is?
You asked me that just like you thought I'd know the answer.
I know, well, because I took the train, and it's different doing the bus than the train. That you do kind of go through places a lot quicker on train. I like the trains in England. They're good trains and everything, and kind of historical, but you don't get the same feel as driving through the countryside.
Well, it was wonderful, and as I say, there were only 20 on the bus, 50 seats, so we all had a window seat. And ironically enough, nobody wanted the front seat. I got it every time.
I would.
I waited until
like the front
everybody
seat,
else got on.
You get that front view.
You
of
get the
this
front
big,
view
yeah.
and the side view.
Absolutely. I agree.
And I kept waiting. I mean, I thought, well, maybe somebody else wants it.
I always go for the
and
front seat.
I'd wait to be the last one on the bus, and there it was available.
That's your seat. So tell me, did you spend the night in Bath?
Did we spend the night in Bath? I'm not sure. We might have. We probably did.
Oh, this is darling. You're showing me a picture of something I can't read.
It's huge.
It's yes, so picture of card worthy. I don't know what this says.
And the bottom tells you what it means.
It's a card shop over the River Dee in Llangollen,
which isn't pronounced like that. But ask Brett Wilson. She knows how to pronounce.
You know what
that.
You do what I do now, but it's when I do big trips like this, I save things too. But what I do, and I'll tell you something. You think you're going to remember, but you take pictures even, and you don't always remember where it was. And it's amazing how you think, oh no, there's no problem. I've got a picture. I'll remember where this is. But you don't remember.
Too many all at once.
Yeah, so it slips away. So there are apps actually where you can journal trips. But the truth is when you're on a trip, sometimes it's too hard to do that. You may not have access to Wi-Fi. And the few apps that I've got that do journaling of trips don't work unless you remember or jot down notes. You can bring a little journal and do the old-fashioned way of writing and taking notes. And there is something still to keeping a little journal notebook and having those lovely things you have.
It was easy.
And Scotch, take those into a little travel book and make a note. No, I have some. I'm so glad I did. I have a book I did this with when I went to China on a Zen tour of China, and that was 1988, I think. And I never would remember, but I have these little things like you have there. I have postcards. I have pictures. I have even little things of grass that were from special places. I have little wildflowers.
Oh.
And I did little sketches and little notes. And I just love that travel book. From that time and those memories, I never would have remembered. I had, at that point, it was Polaroids. Oh, my God.
Oh, no Facebook in those days.
I had Polaroids of so many amazing things, and they're starting to fade. I probably should digitize them. But I had Polaroids of monks and temples and abbots and places and all these back streets and palaces and all these things, that were amazing. So there is a real value, to having these things and keeping these things. And the reality is, if you don't kind of sort them out and use them now, you'll forget them all, So
Well, that's why every single night when I got back to the room, I didn't care how late it was, is when I posted my pictures, because I knew if I didn't that day, it wasn't going to happen.
No, that's another thing. And I have a couple other friends that travel a lot who post pictures. And those are really easy to use and remember things from. You can post pictures and a little few notes with it, and it's amazing.
Otherwise, I would not remember any of it.
No, absolutely. And you had how many pictures you posted about?
Oh, I couldn't count them.
Probably
There were
100.
dozens. Oh, at least.
Yeah.
Another thing that I did.
Wi-Fi is important in those cases.
Well, all the hotels had Wi-Fi. The bus had Wi-Fi.
Oh, the bus had Wi-Fi.
I didn't like to use it on the bus. My friend was either nodding off or on her phone. I'm out there trying to look at everything.
Yeah.
I also made a little tool. I did this when I went to Israel too. I calculated what it would be for what says in pounds, what it was in dollars.
It's so funny. John does that. He has a little cheat sheet the size of a business card, and he does exactly that. Yours is much more organized. And there is an app for that, by the way.
There is? Because I was doing these manually by hand and then calculating
There's an app that tells you. There's two.
And then it changes for whatever the
currency
exchange
apps
rate.
that does, yes.
Oh,
daily.
I want it.
Yeah. It tells you immediately, and it converts not only from. You can convert it from dollars to pounds. You can do pounds to dollars. You can
have to go on the
euros. Yeah, but it's on your phone. It's an app on your phone.
Yeah, I have the app.
But it takes a while to
Yeah, but
figure
this
out.
one, I just look at it.
I think PJ's calling out my next guest. Aloha, is this? It's yeah. Yeah, but so I got to reply. I'm trying to. Texting and talking is very, very hard. So yeah.
Multitasking.
Yeah, I am multitasking. So anyway, I just sent an email. So yes, this was a trip of a lifetime for you.
Yes.
And you know what? You just looked like you just glowed through it. You look like, I could tell how much you loved it, right?
Yes, thank you.
Yeah, and I'm so glad you went for it, right? I mean, it was just like I could feel your excitement and your enthusiasm. And that is exactly what I get from travel. I think this